Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 114 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of June 10th through the 16th, 2019. My name is Tim Beeman.
My name's Ray Morgan.
And we're opening the recipe box. We are recording this episode of The Man Who Ate the Town at the Lab Industry Hill. It is a repurposed building on North Chestnut Street in the Old Warehouse District of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Industry Hill itself hosts a lot of cool new things: restaurants, chocolatiers, breweries, entertainment complexes, a high-end stereo shop, bouldering facility, and of course the lab at Industry Hill here.
Super cool.
Super cool. So the big breaking news, the sad big breaking news is that Uncle Buzzy's has closed.
That is a very sad. Why did you have to start with that? That breaks my heart.
Because I figure we're going to talk about it a good bit. So
well, we should.
So there are people saying it on Facebook, and I used my connection to Dave Hillman to inquire.
Yeah.
He confirmed the closure on Sunday. Saturday was their last day. Much of the equipment has already been moved out of the building.
Wow.
They had a U-Haul there Sunday. People said they went by there, and there was a U-Haul.
Yep.
He confirmed to me as well that he was getting ready to pull the trigger on a lease downtown, but at the last second, he decided to hold off.
Mm.
I saw a lot of speculation online, and the negativity is killing me, and it's killing the good work that we've been doing. The city, it's a hard position to be in, I think.
Yeah.
We need to band together to help each other out. But sometimes there's a time when we just need to quit being naysayers and give up the Chicken Little syndrome and stop saying the sky is falling.
Yes.
I've said this for a while now. The problem isn't that it's hard to get downtown to these businesses. The problem is the perception that it's hard to get downtown.
Yeah.
Again,
that's
negative
right.
Nancy's, just give it up. Shut up.
Just go.
I have seen and heard some predictions about other restaurants downtown that may suffer similar fate, and if those close, then it will be bad.
It will be bad.
We can't go on blaming Business 40 for everything either. Yes, that is a big factor, and it's a huge factor, but we've dealt with it now for 7 months. It's time to adapt.
So our issue with Business 40 is that it wasn't as convenient to get there as it is today. Yeah. Get past that. These businesses need us to continue to patronize them, or we're going to lose them.
It doesn't take 5 minutes to go around what you were already driving if you were on Business 40.
Yeah.
Get off on the Research Parkway. Come downtown. Go through downtown.
That's a great route in. Or even just go north and come back down.
Yeah. Go 52, go north, go Liberty Street. Turn left, come right back downtown.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great route in.
Yeah, that's how I come to work.
Yeah.
Here in the studio. So waiting for things to get better isn't going to help. Wishing it better is not going to help. One thing that our guest today will probably talk about in a few minutes is we have to pull together and stop complaining about getting there and get there.
I'm excited about our guest and what she may have to say.
I want to reach through the computer and slap some of these people with the good riddance and the food sucked. You know what? Just keep that shit to yourself.
They didn't go then. If that's what they're saying, they've never been there.
As one person said, the worst food poisoning I ever got. I don't think it would be food poisoning. I think you probably just had something that didn't agree with you. That's not food poisoning. And stop spreading that shit. We're talking about people's livelihoods here.
Yeah.
Just shut up. Most people just want to run their mouths, and that's what's happening. They're just, look here, I'm shouting to the street, I'm pontificating, and I am throwing my weight around because I wouldn't ever say this to somebody's face.
And that's just it. So if you're doing that from your armchair, do it through their face.
If you didn't like it, if you didn't care for it, say that. I just didn't care for it. But are you happy someone now is out of job?
I'm not.
Are you happy that someone spent money to open something that may have been good for somebody and then they're not opening anymore?
Yeah.
if you are, then, you know, some people just, English is a second language to them. Stupidity is their first. So they just need to stop spewing bullshit.
You know, we lost some jobs. That's another way to look at it. You know, there's some families who are going to be impacted. Yeah, we should have some compassion for those folks.
Yes.
And compassion for Dave. I think he had a great idea with Uncle Buzzy's, and I really hope that he'll be able to find a new place to make that work. I think part of it that really wasn't the best spot.
No.
There really wasn't enough room for adequate dining inside there.
Right. And the thing was, though, it wasn't meant to be a sit-down, dine-in restaurant.
Right.
Now, if you lived 20 minutes away and you were going to stop in there, your food was going to get cold by the time you got there. Admittedly, that probably was not your place. It was not the place for you. But if you are 5 minutes, 10 minutes from home, stop in, grab it, and if you can get out, that's another thing. Getting in and out there was not good. But if you can get out, then good. And again, I believe, and I mentioned this to him, and he thinks he agrees with me, the fair food aspect, I think, shot down some of what could have been.
Well, once you got in there and you actually looked at the menu, you recognized that very little of this was food that you would find at the fair.
Right.
And most of it was just really good food.
Right. It's the only place in town you're going to get anything that comes close to an original beef on whack. It's the only place in town you're going to get an original Chicago Italian beef. It's the only place in town you're going to get anything remotely close to an original Chicago hot dog. It's the only place in town that had foot-long corn dogs.
Yep. You're right.
And foot-long hot dogs that actually fit in the buns, not the ones that were like good 2 inches on each side that you were just looking like you were in an amateur porno movie eating. So it's just there's so much to this that is lost in Uncle Buzzy's not being there. Was it one of my favorite places? Absolutely it was.
Yeah.
I eat there at least once a week up into the last 3 weeks.
One of the most creative menus we've seen in town. Really something different. Loved what they were doing. I'm curious to see if he won't pull some of that into Quiet Pint.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that some of it will. He's already talked about a couple things that I'm going to wait until it happens before I mention them. But, so yeah, that is on the ticket.
Radar.
Now,
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, well, how's Quiet Pint and Burke Street Pizza doing? He says, Burke Street hasn't changed in 3 years. Not up, not down, steady, and that's good. Last year, Quiet Pint went up, and this year is a little bit down. But we did have the closure this year.
Yeah.
But he says they've streamlined some stuff since the last chef was there, and the profits should turn around.
There you go.
So, okay. So we know it's not necessarily the area in general. It wasn't competition either, because the only place there was any competition to it was Chin Chin.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different experience. That's
Very
not
different.
why you go to Uncle Buzzy's. You don't go there for the Chin Chin burger.
No.
Grecian Corner.
It's the Grecian Corner.
It's a Grecian Corner. I love it for what it is, but it is no competition to that.
No.
Hardee's certainly isn't. Quiet Pint is owned by Dave, so you're not fighting with yourself, because it was a whole different ballgame again. So
Yeah, to even mention Hardee's as competition
no,
is to be insulting.
it's Hardley's.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. But I also think there's something else going on here. And I'm going to talk about this with Antonina, our guest, a little bit later. But this may be controversial, but I think downtown has begun to lose its mojo a little bit.
I hope not.
And all the things that made this town cool is beginning to be phased out by those wanting to capitalize on its success. Downtown 15 years ago was a desolate place no one wanted to be. It was a suburb without a city.
Yeah. There were some bright spots, but for the most part.
For the most part, not. Then it started getting cool. Housing was scarce, but it was affordable. It was easy for servers and bartenders and business people to live downtown, operate their businesses downtown for cheap.
Yeah, not now.
They could live downtown and walk to work. Then came the luxury apartments, the condos, the townhouses, the converted warehouses, which is great.
Yeah, great to see them reused.
But where are all the ones that the people who made this town cool can't afford to be here?
Yeah.
And now it's all the people that we all moved from the suburbs to get downtown to get away from the stuffy shirts. The stuffy shirts have moved in. Yeah. I mean, these lofts downtown are going for almost $500,000.
Nobody that's working, your average working person downtown, can't afford to live there. So they're having to go back out to the suburbs. Actually, they are in the process of getting the budget inn torn down there on Peters Creek. And part of that solution is going to include affordable housing. Okay. But we need more initiatives like that.
Right, but still, that is, okay, so...
That's my little soapbox. I'll get off.
The thing is that downtown, it's very close. But the people, I'm talking the naysayers,
right,
and the negative Nancys, and the Chicken Littles. That's not going to fix anything. Look right across the ballpark. They put people out of those houses to build a ballpark, and then put other people out to build those link apartment. Okay,
they sure did.
They did.
That's exactly what happened.
You're right. But where can we put something else? Do they all have to be luxury apartments? No, because who's going to fill those?
Yeah.
We are running out of qualified bartenders and servers, and restaurants are starting to feel the ache because they're getting, and I don't mean this in a bad way, they're giving all the amateurs who haven't been in it for years. So that's one thing. And then when there's no place for them to live, without having to come and pay to park to work, because a lot of these places don't have a place even for the employees to park.
Right.
We've got to do something about that.
You're right.
And it's cool to live downtown. Yeah, great. But you also, you move downtown to be close to the businesses that you're going to lose because no one can afford to staff them.
Kind of a catch-22.
Yeah, well, this is even catch-44. It's so bad.
Yeah.
So it's just getting bad. Another thing that just came through, and I will talk to Antonina about this in a little bit, but there was a sign on Hutch and Harris's door today. This just came in. Uncle Buzzy's was yesterday. Today is Hutch and Harris. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Hutch and Harris dining room will be closed for the remainder of the month. And this is only the 10th day of this month.
Wow.
So that's 20 days this month they're going to be out of business. Sidebar will open at 5 p.m. tonight. Thank you to all our loyal customers for your support. Look forward to serving you again, staff and management of Hutch and Harris. Now, I have learned over the years that when this is, we plan to look forward to seeing you again, at least 75% of the time that does not happen. I hope that's not the case here.
Right.
I hope that
Well, it's a popular spot for both lunch and dinner.
It is. But everything right now on 4th Street is hurting. I don't know why. I think when Antonina gets here, we're going to discuss some of these things. But I can't put a finger on one particular thing. If we knew what one thing was, we could probably fix that. But it's not just one thing. It's a whole collective of things.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't mean for this episode to be all this negative stuff. But I mean, this is issues that we need to talk about. And I'm sure we'll talk about it with her in just a little bit.
Yeah. We're excited about that.
So I don't know what's going on with the Hutch and Harris. Again, that just came through. I don't know any more than what I just told you.
Just what's posted on the door.
But I will have to check in and do some more stuff. I know some people around there. I'll ask them. Another casualty, albeit not a restaurant, but the Saturday brunch at Finnegan's Wake is no more.
Oh,
it was announced on Saturday that they have abandoned it. They said it was a good idea. They just couldn't sustain that.
Well, sometimes good ideas have a season.
You have to have. You're right. So you have to have certain things for brunch, at least the way they were doing them. And I think having them and then people not showing up on Saturdays. But the things that they normally have on their Saturday, like on everyday menu, they already have. So they're going from.
If they don't use that on Saturday, they'll use it Sunday or Monday.
Yeah. So they are moving the Saturday brunch out. Sunday brunch still happens.
Okay.
But they can scale down the ordering system for that and not worry, because I don't think anybody even knew that they had brunch on Saturdays.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it was,
Sad to
and
say.
from what I understand, it was 2 different menus. It was a Saturday menu and a Sunday menu.
See, that makes it even harder because now you're ordering that much extra.
Yeah.
And you're right. If you don't sell that, then now you're eating it. Literally, you're just losing it.
Yeah. And if we didn't talk about this, Finnegan's Ditch Trivia, that's been going on for
Like 10 million
10
years.
years almost. Well, over 10 years, 12 years. And they are no longer having that on Tuesday nights. So a lot of things that we're all used to, and I think getting used to things is going to be a theme of today's show too, is going to...
Well, we get used to things. We get into those ruts. And every once in a while, we need to break out of it. Do something very different.
That's true.
And, maybe it was another season that came through Finnegan's. It was trivia. That worked well for a while. And, okay, now what? We freed up that resource. What are we going to do with it? Are we just going to have people come eat, or are we going to do some sort of an event? It's a thought.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll find out more about that.
Well, we expect to hear it from here first.
That's right. So, one of the street team, John Phillips, sent an email and asked if we could please give a shout out to Paper Plates. It's Payper Plates. It's a new restaurant in Clemens between Sam's Ice Cream and the Pizza Hut south of I-40 on Louisville Clemens Road. It is a new meat and 3. It's meat, 2 side, 1 bread, takeout only restaurant. Okay, it's takeout only.
Don't go sit.
Just know that.
Don't go sitting. Ain't no food for you.
Their pork chops, mac and cheese, and hush puppies are very good. I want to get the word out because the location has struggled in the past and wants to look out for his fellow Clemens folk. And he said that I or you, Ray, should give it a try and won't be disappointed.
Sounds like the gauntlet has been thrown down. We must find out.
It is located.
I didn't know about it.
2432 Louisville Clemens Road. They are open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. The reason I'm reading it like this is because it's sideways. And 1 to 6 p.m. on Sundays. But they have, plates served with 2 sides of bread. It's barbecue brisket, turkey legs, grilled chicken, pork chops, hot fried chicken, wings, 5 pieces, and this is full wings, I'm pretty sure. Sliced turkey or ham, veggies with 3 sides, delightfully different salads, cranberry almond, blue feta, mixed green, olive green, avocado butter, and you can add any meat to that for $2.50. And there's chicken, grilled chicken, or hot fried chicken, pork chops, turkey and ham, bologna, add lettuce, tomato, or cheese for $30. Those are sandwiches, I think. And then sides are seasoned fries, sweet potato fries, pimento mac and cheese, rice, black beans, mashed potatoes and gravy, collards, cabbage, green beans, spinach, kale mix with grilled onions, and then, yeah. So that's what they have. And John says it's good. You need to go check them out.
Appreciate the heads up, John.
And let's see. I had a couple of burgers on my tour.
Yeah.
This week, including today, which I haven't had time to write anything down, so I don't know if I'll talk about the one today. I've not even posted a picture of it yet. Let's see.
So which burgers are we going to talk about today? The ones you have tried?
Yes, we are going to talk about, let me pull it up so I can.
The Summer of Burger Tour.
Burger.
We are checking out the burgers here in Winston-Salem because there's some amazing burgers here.
Burgers. Okay, so I had on, all this was Thursday.
Big day Thursday.
It was a big day Thursday. I had the classic burger from Campus Gas.
Okay, now back up. I didn't think Campus Gas was cooking anything.
Well, Campus Gas has always had like cold sandwiches and hot dogs. They had, I guess, the thing to put the hot dogs on. Yeah, the roller hickey. But
they didn't have a grill top.
No, that's new. This is new stuff.
This is cool to know.
Yes, and
so there's two pieces of information here. One, they're doing more, and two, they have this burger.
Yes.
Is it any good?
It was good. It was like this spice rub on it that gave it a kick. It wasn't hot, but
Still
you knew
heat.
It was there. You could tell it was there, and it was really good. I mean, it was a plain burger, and that's what I've been touting. I wanted more plain burgers.
Just what do they do with the meat and the buns?
Yeah, and what toppings can you put on it without it really negating the meat in the bun?
Yeah. So that flavor that you get out of the meat, that was good. You're happy with that?
I was very happy with that, yeah.
Good.
And that same day, I tried probably the only Impossible burger that I plan on ever eating in my life. And I didn't even finish it. I got 3 bites into it and tossed it.
Wow.
That's not saying anything about Campus Gas. That's just, what's the point? If you are a vegetarian or a vegan,
mm-hmm.
and you want that burger experience, by all means.
So when you say Impossible Burger, that's the actual name of it.
Yes, it's a brand name,
and
it's made with plant-based substances, but it's chemicals and stuff. And really, they're putting enough crap in these burgers to make them taste like meat. They're not any better for you. If you have an aversion to eating meat, like our friend Happy,
right?
I get that, but I don't. I like dead flesh on my burgers, and that's what I want
with appropriate char.
Yes, this just was not my thing. I tried it. I don't have to try it again. That's marked off the list.
There you go. I'm sorry, but if you're gonna be a vegetarian, you're giving up burgers. Quit trying to reinvent it. Just eat a burger, for crying out loud.
That's right. That's right. I love my vegetarian and vegan friends.
Yes.
I just don't understand you sometimes. Love you. Love you.
Because you're amazing people.
You are. But we just have different food philosophies.
Quit trying to create the fake burger out of TVP, because you don't. It's for it to be a burger, it needs to have meat.
Yeah.
Meat. Lots of meat.
And then that night, I went to Sir Winston with my son.
Ah, yes. Tell me about your Sir Winston experience.
Okay, well, this was not in a can, but there was a Prince Albert. And it was not the piercing, because that's also been brought up.
That's a thing? Prince Albert is a type of piercing? Oh, that kind of piercing. Yeah. Oh, the one that I would never consider.
Yeah.
Ooh, Lord.
Yeah.
No, there are some places that do not need additional holes.
So true.
Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. If you don't know what it means, look it up, figure it out. Ow!
Yeah, just be warned.
Yeah.
NSFW.
Yeah, not suitable for work.
Yeah. So, the Prince Albert is, I'm telling you, this burger should be illegal.
Really?
Yes. I even wrote that in the thing.
Is it that good?
It's an all-encompassing flavor bomb. It's sweet, savory, salty, umami, all of that at one time. Double-stacked beef patties with white cheddar cheese, Watauga County country ham, balsamic port mushrooms, truffle aioli, and blackberry barbecue.
Oh.
And so I asked if someone could wheel me
words
home.
About it? Just, oh.
Yeah. Someone asked me if there was a prize if you eat all of it. And I said, yes, free wheelbarrow rides.
I did see your photo on that. And it just, now to me, that's the Impossible Burger, because it's like impossible that they stacked all of that up.
Well, okay, so we also got, let me tell you about this, the other burger from Chef Swing at Sir Winston. And this is a special burger, so it was not on the menu, but he said they're working on putting it on the menu. So it is a precursor to a menu item.
So you get to try the beta version.
Yes, this is called the Noble.
Oh.
It's smoked cheddar cheese, bacon bourbon jam, blackberry pork confit, charred pepper relish, and homemade or house-made pickles.
Ooh.
And it had a kick that this charred pepper relish had a little kick. It wasn't hot, but you knew it was there, and you're like, oh yes,
that really sounds good.
So what my son Trey and I did, we cut both of them in half
and shared.
So we technically only ate one burger each. But
I'm sorry, the Prince Albert, that's like 4 burgers.
You're right. You're right.
It's huge.
Well, no matter how much smashing I did, I had to deconstruct the burger to eat it.
Yeah.
Which I know some people complain about, but you know what? It's meat.
Meat.
And I like meat.
Even your mouth's not that big.
Even my mouth. And my mouth is quite large.
It is.
You can drive a lot of things probably into my face, and this burger was not one of them. Anyway.
Size limit.
Low clearance. But it was good. Both of them were very good. But the Prince Albert wins that between the two. It certainly wins. And that's on the lunch menu. It's not on the dinner menu.
Interesting.
It's on the lunch menu. And once you eat that, you don't need dinner.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're good till breakfast.
Yeah. Today, I will say that I went to North Point Grill today.
Oh,
so I will have a picture of what I had today a little bit later, maybe tomorrow. If you noticed today, there was a shload of pictures that I posted today.
I did notice. As a matter of fact, all of you listening, go look at the Instagram account for The Man Who Ate the Town for some amazing food photography.
There was 19 pictures today.
Yeah. I opened up Instagram and it was... All right, well then let's see what happened at Carrabba's. Let's see what happened at McAnally's. Oh, here's another one from Carrabba's. Here's another one from McAnally's. Yeah, it was fun to look through all that. Some really good stuff.
Speaking of Carrabba's.
I was hoping we were going to talk about Carrabba's.
We are going to talk about Carrabba's. So
I have not been so excited to talk about a chain restaurant until this moment.
Yeah, you talked about this last week. We know how I feel about chain restaurants.
Chains are bad.
Chains are bad as a general rule.
Yeah.
However,
this
every
is the
once in a while you come across owners, proprietors of said, and these are partners, these are franchisees,
right,
that are so ingrained in the community. And really, this one, Daniel Butner, has no choice but be, because literally his family built this town.
Yeah.
Butner's, I think I said this last week, Butner's Hat Shop is like his great uncle, and Winkler's Bakery is his great grandfather.
Yeah.
And one of the first few that actually came from Bethabara to Salem to start Salem, which is if you didn't know, the Salem in Winston-Salem.
Yeah, if you didn't know that already.
If you didn't know that,
wake up.
Where have you been? So, he's only been here since the 1760s.
He is the exception that proves the rule.
Mm-hmm.
What an amazing individual. I was really impressed with him.
He knows his stuff. He's proud of his stuff. He's proud of his heritage. He's proud of his family. He's proud of his city.
But he's not a prideful, boastful kind of person.
Not at all.
It's just, this is part of who he is, and he's very proud of where he has come from and his heritage, loves history, but it's not, I'm going to throw this in your face to show you how much better I am than you.
Right.
It's just, no, this is who I am. And I've lived here, and my family has always been involved in this community, and I still want to be here and a part of this, and I want to help people. I mean, his heart is just enormous.
We invited him to our network meeting Friday morning. You know why he couldn't come? He was feeding the Wake Forest football team.
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
And when the Red Cross was sending people out of town, he fed them.
He did.
There were so many different. He's got a huge sign that he had made, big framed, right inside the front door. It's the first thing you're going to see when you walk in, and it's all the different things that they've done in the community in the last year.
Yeah.
And it's a huge thing. And to think that was just what they've done over the last year. And he wants you to see it as you walk in. That's important to him. That this restaurant lives in Winston-Salem, and it knows it.
Is what he said the first time, and I really picked up on it. A responsible chain.
Yeah.
They are, again, community minded, and he's not putting this stuff up to like, look what I did. He's putting it up there and says these are things to be proud of.
These are things we did.
Accomplishments that you could be part of. You could do this too.
Yeah.
So
it's when you meet somebody and they start telling you about their kids and they tell you about their spouse, and it's not, I'm going to try to show you I'm better. I'm telling you about these things because these are the things that mean something to me. They're a part of me. And so I'm passionate about that and I want to share it. And that's him. I want to share my passion for this community. And if my passion can inspire someone else to come alongside and do this, that's what he's looking for.
And that same passion is put towards the food inside of Carrabba's.
So clear.
The employees there, like the executive chef and the kitchen manager, have been there longer than he has.
Yeah. And
he
could have disappeared when he bought.
Yes.
But he said that's the reason we have a good restaurant right there.
One thing I heard him say, they was talking about, so what if it's Memorial Day, whatever holiday he said, and Mother's Day, and what if his executive chef had his son had a soccer game that day, then he, being Daniel, is going to be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Because
that's
his son, his chef's son, is more important to him than the job.
Yeah.
To the owner, more important than the job.
Yeah.
So
he's like, I want him to have that time with his son more than I want him in here cooking.
Right. And he needs him in there cooking.
He needs him in there, but he also recognizes what's truly important in life.
So let's go over a couple things that we had. We're going to start with the caprese salad.
That was so good. That was really good. So simple. There was nothing elaborate about it.
No, it's burrata cheese, which is a mozzarella, tomatoes, fresh basil, red onions, balsamic glaze drizzled with extra virgin olive oil.
Boom.
Yeah.
On a plate.
The creamy cheese had spice on it. They had pepper on it. And it looks on the picture that's the center to me. And I used to not eat tomatoes and stuff like that, but now I eat the crap out of stuff like that because I have realized that it's really good.
It is.
And
good.
to me, the balsamic glaze over those tomatoes was the highlight of that.
Yeah, that was a really good dish. Very simple, but so well executed.
Up next was the calamari. And here's the cool thing about the calamari. When you go to a lot of places, most places really, they have little pieces, big pieces, the rings. Tentacles are different, but the rings can be small, they can be large. And
he said if that's what he sees, he won't eat it.
It's right. If he sees
that's
disparity. That's
what I've been eating all along.
Yeah, if you see that disparity in size and that parity in size, then don't eat that because you're going to have either or both. You're either going to have overcooked small pieces or undercooked large pieces.
Mm-hmm.
If what they do is they cut them all to where they're equal in size ish. I mean, you got to be comparable. I mean, they can't all be
with
a ruler going, okay, well, these are all the same size. So, and then they put their special batter and flour and seasoning on it, breading, and then flash fry it.
2.5 inches, actually, I remember him saying.
Yeah.
That was the diameter.
So
That's where they start.
yeah,
I got to say, that calamari, I've had some, what I thought was good calamari, but that was head and shoulders above anything else I've had. I was really impressed with that. Very light, well cooked. The marinara was spot on. Yeah. Oh man, my frustration with that is that we ate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And by the time it got to me, there wasn't enough to have like a whole meal of just the calamari. It was so good.
Yeah. And the marinara is made in house. It's not just
They didn't
purchased.
open the can.
It's not like if you go to Olive Garden where
They open a
everything's
can.
shipped in a can and they just open it.
They make everything there. That was one of the things that really impressed me. And one of the things, too, that he brought out as we were wrapping up and talking with him, he says, we really want to play off of grill. You're going to see that. It's part of our name, Carrabba's Grill.
Yeah, they have pasta dishes, but he says you go to an Italian restaurant, you want to see pasta. That's pasta, pasta, pasta. We are an Italian grill, and that's what we focus on, just like you said.
Yeah.
Up next was the fried cauliflower.
The fried cauliflower was really good.
Yeah, it was tender, yet still firm.
Yes.
And they used the same batter and seasoning breading that they do on the calamari.
Yeah.
So just imagine the vegetarian version of that.
I have had another restaurant's version of the fried cauliflower here in the area, and they're very different. This was very good. You're right. Like you said, it was well cooked. You had just enough firmness, but it didn't have that crisp of it being still raw.
Yeah.
But that dough from the breading from the calamari, that was good.
And they served it with a tangy aioli.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Then we had soups. We had 3 soups.
We did.
First one was the minestrone.
The minestrone. I have to say, no offense intended to Carrabba's. I had the minestrone and thought, this is really good. And then I tasted the other 2 and was like, the minestrone is my least favorite of the 3 that we tried, and it was so good.
I'm with you. I'm with you exactly.
It's like the worst is still most places best.
Yeah. So I'm going to skip the second one and go to the spicy sausage and lentil soup.
I love lentils anyway.
Yeah.
That had a nice kick to it.
Lentils are fairly new to me, but I have been eating them more and more, and I like whenever they are tender but firm.
Yeah.
They're legumes.
Exactly.
So they should hold up.
They should.
Like a bean.
Instead of getting to mush.
Yeah.
If it's mush, you overcooked it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the spicy sausage in there. I mean, you were pulling out big chunks of sausage.
Yeah, it wasn't all little tiny tidbits. There were chunks there.
Yeah. My favorite of the 3 soups, though, was the Mama Mandola's Sicilian chicken soup.
Yeah.
And I even quoted you on the post that says that is the soup you want when you're homesick and need that pick-me-up.
Because, I was thinking about it. I'm tasting this, and it's a chicken soup with, the type of, I don't know what type of noodle that is. But it's got just enough of a little pepper kick to it. Because if you're feeling bad, that's kind of what you want. A little pepper to help open up the sinuses. Mm-hmm. But the chicken soup aspect of this, I was like, yeah, if I were sick, this would be the chicken soup. Now, I wasn't sick. I was feeling very good. And it was awesome chicken soup. It's some of the best I've had.
Now, the calamari would have been my absolute favorite part of the night.
Would have been. If they didn't, again, the worst is way above everybody else's best.
The filet.
Oh my, those filet.
The seasoning on the steak and the fact that it was perfectly medium rare. Usually I like mine rare, but this was perfectly
medium rare. It was
medium rare.
Spot, not 10 seconds one side or the other. It was medium rare.
And that confidently allows me to say this is probably the most delicious steak I can ever remember having.
There you go.
Yeah. This was it was perfect all the way around. I wish I would have gotten a picture of the cross section when I cut it open to share it with Stephanie, because it was perfectly. It was dark pink, almost red, but this is how I like it. And it was just perfect.
Yeah.
Now, the thing to know about this and the next two courses is there were different plates with different sides. So you had the opportunity to taste the mashed potatoes,
Which were
really good. They were warm. Sometimes mashed potatoes cool off, and they just But they didn't seem like they were under a heat lamp. I didn't see they had heat lamps, but I didn't see a lot of stuff sitting under those.
Right.
You could get the penne with the roasted red pepper
that was
sauce.
good.
It was good, but that's not while we were there.
I had one bite of the penne just to say I've had the penne. I was like, "Yep, it's pasta. It's got a sauce on it. It's good."
There was the spinach.
That was the one I didn't get to try. Was the spinach?
Yeah, the first thing that we got the
asparagus.
No. The spinach came on our mahi.
Oh,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
but and then the third was the asparagus. Now,
I watched history happen.
To my credit, now I've had it before, but I told, because Daniel said, if you're going to have it, this is the place to have it. And I said, you know what? Because you're my pal, I cut off a little piece, and
I watched it happen.
And Ray not only watched it, he recorded it happen.
I did. There's a video,
and I kept my smiling face the entire time.
Yeah, okay, if that's what you call your smiling face.
It was a little pained, but it was still a smiling face.
It was definitely a pain.
And I was rewarded with a nice full glass of the lovely wine that we had.
Oh my, that red was
I don't even remember what the name of it was.
I don't either, but I remember him telling us that it was more than I would have thought, that he would have just popped that cork to share at the table.
Yeah.
It was very generous of him. I will say it that way.
So yeah, the filet is to literally die for. I mean, I would almost kill somebody for it.
And I will say, if you like asparagus, this was roasted with the seasoning on there. It's very well done. Very well done. And I know you call it asparagus.
I'll leave that up to you. You can call it what you want.
That's, if I'm going to have asparagus, I would prefer to not have it, boiled and it's all mushy. And this was roasted like this. This was good. Yeah.
And let's see. The next thing was the mahi wolf.
Oh, the mahi. I have to say, I feel like I say this about food that we eat frequently.
Yeah, because we don't eat a lot of crap.
This mahi is top drawer. The only mahi that I have had that was better, my dad and I went out into the Atlantic Ocean, caught it, brought it home, put it on the grill.
Now, are you saying that it was better or the experience made it better?
Ooh. Okay.
And either one's...
That's a fair question. The entire experience made that better. We did them very simply, a little bit of Italian dressing, and threw them on the grill.
Yeah.
But they were as fresh as you're going to get, which adds something, I think, to the overall flavor profile.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that experience.
Okay.
This would be as good as I would ever expect to have it anywhere in any restaurant, regardless of how far they are from the coast.
Right. So I'm not discounting any of it. So
it was impressive.
Yeah. So it is lightly breaded, wood grilled, and topped with artichokes, sun-dried tomatoes, and their lemon basil butter sauce.
Oh man, what a great combination!
What
of
is
flavors.
there not to love there?
Seriously, we also had one other. The first two, the filet and the mahi, there was none of that left on our plates. I almost embarrassed myself and picked it up and licked it, but I didn't.
The last thing that we had as entree was the chicken brine.
I really like the chicken.
Yeah,
I love chicken anyway. That's one of my favorite meats.
Yeah, it was. Chicken can get plain.
Yes, it can.
This was not that.
No,
this is the special goat cheese on top. It was just sitting there melting down a little bit. Sun-dried tomatoes, basil, and Carrabba's lemon butter sauce again, and it was just
well.
fantastic.
Even his description of what's the difference in sun-dried tomatoes, real sun-dried tomatoes, versus what some companies pass as sun-dried tomatoes. He's paying extra to get the real thing. Yep. And it made a difference in the flavor. So much.
Tomatoes that were actually on a sheet in the sun drying. Not put into a machine and dried and then packed in oil.
Yeah. This was the real stuff. It made a huge difference in the flavor. Yeah. The chicken normally would have been one of my go-tos. We had to fillet the mahi. If you're not filet and mahi person, if you want chicken, you got to try this.
Yes, I agree.
I'm surprised that I'm saying this about Carrabba's.
Yeah.
I really would not have expected that. I was very impressed.
The last thing that we had that night was dessert.
We found room.
He asked, do you have room for it? And we're like, well,
yes.
We can definitely make room for that. So it was the cinnamon apple crostata. A crispy cinnamon apple tart with a thin layer of hazelnut filling, topped with a scoop of vanilla ice cream and Carrabba's caramel sauce. The perfect finish, I think, for that night. And like he said, and I agree, which I've always, if I'm having a pastry with ice cream, that the ice cream melts enough to cool off the tart.
You need that with this dish.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's being served in a cast iron skillet.
Yeah,
little
it
ones,
is.
But
The
cast
little
iron
ones,
skillet.
Yeah.
So it's coming out hot, but you got such a nice crispiness with the tart, juxtaposed with that really warm center and that nice melty ice cream and the caramel.
And don't forget, and a lot of people discard this as just a garnish, but take a little bit of the mint leaf and eat it with the ice cream and the apple.
That added such a nice touch.
It's a burst because mint is so bright and clean flavored when it's right. And this happened, and it is fantastic. You've just gotta. Yeah, you just gotta. So here's the thing. Next Monday, Daniel is coming on the show. So we're going to talk to him more about this. I'm sure I'll pull back up the Instagram feed and we can go over some stuff. But he asked, what are we going to talk about? I said, everything we talked about in the restaurant. I said, maybe not everything, but we're going to go over. I mean, he's got history in this town, and I think people need to know it. Plus, his food is fantastic, and people need to know that there are quote-unquote responsible chains that know how to do it right.
You need to hear it from him firsthand. There's a passion and an energy that he brings to the conversation that you're just not going to get unless you're getting it from Daniel.
It's true.
He really impressed me. That was my big takeaway from the night. This is what it looks like when a local boy whose roots go back further than anybody else I've met in this area, when he does it right, with that kind of heart, with that kind of passion, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for an incredible evening, Daniel. We had a wonderful time.
We certainly did. And again, for me too, thank you very much. All right, guys, so now it's time for our Getting in Your Business section. And now, normally, this is a food podcast.
It is, normally.
And I suspect that you do eat food.
I do.
So that helps.
And sunshine.
Eat sunshine? Well,
yes.
His wife crochets sunshine.
Yes,
you
she
crochet it. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So we have with us today not a foodie, not a food person who's in the food business, but she is all about supporting our downtown, our small businesses, our independent businesses, even the bigger ones that are locally owned. We want to take care of our people, and it needs to be here. So I'm going to give a brief before I introduce you. Last week, you had posted a video on Facebook.
Yep.
It's true.
And it is.
We saw it.
I hope it was
We watched
well
it.
received.
Yes.
Good.
And you left your cell phone number on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I texted you and said, hey, I have 2 podcasts that I would be interested in you coming to talk about what you do and supporting the locals, because you are one of those. You
It's true.
want to be supported as well. So, you give and you get, right? So we have to do both.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to welcome to the show the owner of Kindred Spirits, Antonina Whaples.
You got it.
All right.
You get like extra spiritual credit up in heaven for that. I'm pretty sure the Pope's going to send you an indulgence soon.
Well, Ray
he
is
needs that.
Yeah. My religion is nonprofit, and that's PROPHET. And Ray has just completed preacher school.
That's true. That is true.
Well, may the Lord put a blessing upon us all at this moment.
Amen.
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 Hallelujah.
We're breaking out into church.
It's true. We're getting a little churchy up in here, which is all in connection with food. Back
There
to
you
you.
go.
Yeah, because food is
Church
religion
and
to
food
me.
go together, yeah.
It's true.
So, first, Antonina, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Tell us a little bit about Kindred Spirits for those who don't know. Again, we're pushing local business, so let's do that.
Yeah, wow. So Kindred Spirits, I'm going to sum this up as best I can. So this year is our 25th year in business.
Wow.
Yes, it is wow.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I look that old, don't I?
Yeah, I was going to say, what were you like?
I'm going to say you were like 2 years old then.
Gosh, how old was I? Oh, I can't really do math. I was like 6, right?
Okay.
31. Did I do that right?
You did, actually.
Dungeon Master
Like that.
level
Boom.
acquired.
Yeah.
You
So
didn't even have to roll a die.
look at that, y'all. My left brain is super healed. So I bought the store from the previous owners. That's Archie and Howard, and they started over at Cook's Flea Market, which I thought was so fascinating because like the day after we went to the bank to talk to them about the stuff that was going on downtown, Cook's burned to the ground, and I called
wow.
RJ and I was like, RJ, the original home of Kindred is burning to the ground. Does this mean something? He was like, I hope not. Right? It was so
Maybe
crazy.
that's just cleansing.
No
that
omens.
whole-
Right? It was just like some sort of spiritual purge.
There was
Ugh, that
one
sounds
big
horrible.
major saging happening.
It's
There
something,
you go.
right?
Yeah.
There was quite a bit of incense in there, for sure. So they
The smelling fire we've had all week.
exactly. Woo. So we ended up. I took that over from them back in 2012 in that November, and started being the herald of the new dawn of Kindred, which really isn't that different except that I organized everything and I displayed it very like OCD and put labels on everything. And so I remember George Peaks, I went in to get a tattoo one day from him after I had finished some of the cataloging, and I was like, so what do you think about my new setup? He goes, it's the damn Dewey Decimal System in there. And I was like, yes, I want everyone to access this information and have it be very easy. So that was the whole thing for the past like 7 years, and here I am 7 years into my ownership at Kindred, and we get people who walk in every day and say, we didn't even know you were here. So 25 years of being in existence. Now downtown, they moved down there in 2001. So Archie and Howard were definitely part of this cultural bastion that just came together and tried to make downtown the thing that made people want to go there so that it can be what it is now, right? Like, they were pioneers. And there's not too many of those people left downtown, and some of them have moved into different positions. Maybe they used to be a business owner, but now they're like a property manager. Like, you know, the steps you might take if your business is successful. And so we're in just like a fascinating place with all of that, you know? Here we are, dealing with whatever is going on with the 40 shutdown. And Kindred is still alive, and we plan to continue to be alive through it and be even better when we get to the other side of it. But we are not going to stop looking around and asking people, what can we do? Because that's the spirit of Kindred Spirits. We are the quote unquote, we used to be the hippie shop of Winston. I guess that name still kind of sticks, but it's grown into something different. Like, people are really starting to recognize what it is we do. And what we are is really a safe place in the community for people who believe in different things and have maybe some spiritual gifts that they want to develop, come in, and we have the resources for them. It's like a library, but you could check the book out by actually taking it home, and all you have to do is buy the book, right?
Right.
So they have the tools that they can take home, and that's what Kindred Spirits is. And we just launched our online web store that we've been working on forever, and if I didn't mention that, RJ would kill me. So you can go to kindredspirits.ws now and buy stuff on our website.
Cool.
So that's Kindred in a little nutshell.
So what else do you do? We were talking in our what we call pregame. You are a shaman.
That's right.
And what does, for those who don't know, maybe even me to an extent, what does that mean?
Well, a shaman is a person who is born with, or later in life, it is granted access to, like, the spiritual world that's around us. And so we, as you can imagine, growing up with some sort of access to something that somebody else doesn't have. And we see that with people who are way smarter than us, right? We're like, wow, they have access to something I don't have. That's going to make their lives different.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And it's a type of intelligence, but it's also a type of perception. And so I live my life with the awareness of the spiritual things that happen around me at a very heavy degree. And I've taken responsibility for that. And I do that by speaking with the spirits and working with them, and that is what a shaman does. And I'm a good one, if you wanted to know.
Well, hey, if you don't toot your own horn, who can you rely on to do that?
I meant I was like good, like I'm not evil.
So she's LG, all right? You know, if we're going to keep with the D&D theme, she's LG.
What does that
Yeah.
Lawful good.
Oh, okay. Again, I didn't play D&D.
Oh,
What?
well, sorry. Yeah.
What? It's okay.
Sorry,
It's
the
just
I
a
was a
Missing me
gamer,
is
but
now
I was a
coming out.
video gamer.
geekness day. The geek in me recognizes the geek in you.
Oh,
When we recognize
yes.
that there's only one of us.
I love it. I love it.
Our
Yes.
collective consciousness.
We tap into that.
You know, when you were talking about things that others don't have, or others have things that is what I don't have. I don't have the knowledge of what in the hell you're talking about.
You know, so this might tie in a really great to like the questions of, hey, Antonina, what is the pulse that you have your finger on downtown right now? I've been talking to all sorts of people, and I've been trying to consolidate this information and know what's actually going on downtown.
Because you're getting a lot of diversity there.
Yes, you just can't imagine the kind of cultural center that Winston is, and then what our store attracts. So we get all sorts of information, and then I have reached out to people, you know, within city government, within organizations around here, just to be like, kind of like, hey, this is happening. I don't know what it means, but we should look into it. Please don't ignore me, because these are the people over here. I can't ignore them. And if I can't ignore them, and I'm not like a hypersensitive person, but some of the stuff that's been going on downtown has just really touched me. Like to see people who have worked really hard for years and years wonder and worry that they're going to lose everything. And then the economic conversation that comes in, which is totally reasonable and rational, but it's just so utilitarian, is, well, those people are going to leave and then new people are going to come in. And it's like,
Yeah, that's a very cynical way to look at it. It might be right, but where's the heart in that? Where's the compassion?
yeah.
Where's the, wait a minute, these
Where's
are
the soul?
Yeah,
Because
this
you
is our
have
family.
And here, let me ask you this, Antonio. Do you think that in a way this town is starting to lose its mojo?
I think that this town is about to get more mojo than it could have ever imagined. And I think that's what's happening right now, is that
The calm before the storm?
it's just sort of like we're already in it, and we're sort of starting to look around and be like, hey, you're in it too. Like, it's not just me, right? And that's what's making people get together. And it's sort of like now we're going to be sharing these information resources with each other that's going to bring everything into clarity. And that clarity is going to bring all that mojo forward. I don't think we're losing our mojo at all. I think we're just kind of like finding our groove and kind of like figuring out the next dance steps, and things are about to get kind of funky in Winston.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And we want people to want to be in Funky Winston. And that's kind of why we're trying to keep it alive, right? We don't want to lose major chunks of the funk. It'd be like losing the bass line. It's cool, we got the good guitar player, but where's the bass guy?
Yeah, without the bass line.
And as a bass player, I appreciate that.
There you go.
But
That's the heartbeat of the song.
yeah, I just, do you think that maybe I know there are, but people who can't handle the funk?
Well, sure, there are people who can't handle the funk, but I don't think that that's really what's going on right now. I don't think that's it. I think that's really what's going on is that Winston just didn't really think that we were going to get here as fast as we did. And we've gotten here so fast, and it seems like it took forever, but then you're looking around and you realize like Winston's one of the most wired cities in the entire United States of America. Like Wake Forest University was the first wired campus nationally. Like we have had these people, these tech geniuses in Winston for a while, and that's attracted to the city. So the question mark is like, why are we having issues as a city? We've got all this content. Like, what if we just thought about the city as like a business? Like they've got all this content about what makes Winston great, but it's sort of like, where are the messages getting to people, trickling down through what? Social media, through things like the podcasts, hopefully through newspapers and, cable news. But those sources of information aren't any different than this source of information, except that people know how to access it. So that's one of the conversations I had earlier today with absolutely the most reasonable person I've ever talked to in my entire life, Jeff McIntosh, the council member here downtown.
Yep.
I mean, I just had the utmost respect for all the information, just how clear it was. And he answered all of my questions, which was great. And it was, we send out all this information and we have all these pockets of media stream, but then we send it out and we kind of get crickets back. And I'm like, I get it, right? Like I've run my business and tried to figure out the place in the new world of the internet and how Instagram's starting to be used and how Facebook's starting to be used. And we need to look at all of that, especially because basically the social media campaigns back when I was in college is what got Barack Obama elected, right? So we know how people use social media, and we need to be looking at how people use social media in order to share information with one another so that the city can have the city, despite its opinions, despite any officials' opinions or party affiliations, we should have ways for the city to communicate, hey, if you want to come to Winston, here's what's in Winston. This is what's in Winston. These kind of people are in Winston. Wouldn't you want to move to a city where people downtown really care about each other? Even if it means that their emotions get really up in a roar and some of the Facebook comments start getting a little testy. I want to live there instead of living in a place where no one cares and doesn't want the culture, right?
Right. Well, we definitely have created a culture here that you just don't see anywhere else. I love what we've developed downtown.
So, okay, this may be a touchy subject, so I'm going to ask this. Do you think, yes, Business 40's closure has had a good bit to do with all this, but that's not the end-all be-all of what the problem is. I believe there's problems in, like you were talking about, the communication. And it's not just the lack of communication, it's over-communication. It's the Chicken Littles of the world that the sky is falling. Like a lot of the things, people don't come downtown because they hear too many other people saying it was just too impossible to get downtown. No, it's not. So look at it this way. If you're at home and your brother comes to stay and he's like, man, I'm starving. I've got to eat something. I've not eaten in 2 days and we got to go get something to eat. Are you not going to go to the place that's downtown that you can get there reasonably, inexpensively? You can eat reasonably, inexpensively, or are you just not going to feed him? Because, you can go to those other places, but are you going to feed him crap or are you going to feed him something that's worth having? I'm not just saying about downtown. That's for anywhere. But it's like, well, it's just too impossible to get downtown. I don't want to go down there. I don't want to deal with the traffic. Well, the traffic really is no different than it was before. You just have to go around a couple of more corners. And if you're too lazy to do that, come on.
Well, it's really about, when you start thinking about Winston-Salem as a map, which, you imagine in your mind, like where we are right now in this studio in relationship to downtown. It's kind of interesting because as you get away from that central hub that I would say is like Trade Street and 4th Street and all that, of course, like traffic starts to peter out. And honestly, like driving through town is kind of a nice experience. The only thing that's really impeding it is that people are having to change their habits. And changing habits is very difficult for people.
So you're hitting on something there. I was talking to a friend just last week and got her to go to Yamas. Mm-hmm. We've mentioned Yamas today.
Yes, Yamas.
Yamas. And she's like, we have our set restaurants that we go to. And I hear that from so many people. That's not part of my routine. Well, get out of the routine.
Yeah.
And folks they're having to take a little longer route than they're used to. If you're downtown at 5 o'clock and everybody's trying to get out, we've lost a couple of those arteries, so some of them are more congested. But I got stuck on 1st Street last week, and it took me 5 minutes to get to Broad Street. Okay. So it took me 5 minutes to get to Broad Street. I got a chance to look at the houses on the left and right on First instead of driving just, through near there.
Now, I might be young, and so it might seem that one could just dismiss this commentary. However, I come from a family of walkers. Like, my dad apparently is well known through Winston-Salem. People think he's this homeless guy who picks up cans off the side of his street. He's a professor, actually. But he's well known in the Polo Road area. In fact, when I was meeting with Jeff earlier today, he turns out he, owns a home in where I grew up as a kid on Polo Road. He,
cool.
lived off Ransom. And I was just like, yeah, my dad's, this well-known figure over in that area. People think he's this, homeless guy with a blue backpack who walks around getting cans. He's like, oh, my gosh, I know who you're talking about right now. I was like, yeah, that's my dad, right?
My wife grew up off of Ransom.
Yeah, it's
on Belwick.
It's a beautiful place, and it's not that far. And my dad will walk all over the place, and that's kind of part of it. Is I know people don't want to walk, but we're actually putting something together. We put something together for the Brookstown businesses, and by we I mean I just reached out to all of my friends, and I was like, "This is what's going on," kind of like the live feed, and then I went into my phone and I texted some people who I thought would be the right fit and had the time or so efficient that they can just miraculously make beautiful things happen very quickly. And one of those people who's miraculous is Kristen Williams. She runs K10 Yoga, and she just ran the Winston-Salem Yoga Festival at BB&T Ballpark.
I was the MC for that.
That's right, and I was the one who sang the 4 directions. So here we are, and one of the things I prayed for was the prosperity of downtown. So look at us coming together, hopping right off that little shamanic ceremony there, right? Yep. And I told her what was going on over there, and I was like, let's try to get an event where people could maybe park near the dash or at the dash, and then we could do some sort of walk or 5K or whatever to bring people down to the businesses. And the whole idea is that that's what this is about. And she just took it one step further, went and talked to the Winston-Salem ambassadors, and one of the ambassadors, Mackenzie, helped her put together this historical walk through the area that people can come attend. They'll get to have that introduction to the history of Winston, and they'll get to go down to those businesses and show support. So she's working on getting that out on social media with the details of when and how and everything. But that's one of the things we were able to put together as an immediate response to the trouble. And that's sort of where we're back at, is that we know that when this construction is over with, big things are going to open up for Winston, and there's no telling what it's going to be like, right? And I've liked a lot of the commentary that I have seen online by reasonable people who are like, hey, look, nobody could have ever predicted what the fallout could be. We're just starting to see the fallout.
I just said that today on one of the posts about Uncle Buzzy's closing that we mentioned earlier in the show. But so I said, yes, there was a lot of planning, but we had never seen that before.
451 meetings.
We've never seen a road closed like this. A project like this.
And so let me tell you,
we asked for this. We voted to do this all at one time instead of over the course of 25 years trying to fix downtown's interstate.
And I think
never
that's the
designed
right
to be an
thing.
interstate.
I think
it
it's
was
the right thing.
But
Yeah.
but because we've never seen it before, we had no idea really what to expect. We could plan for contingencies, but we didn't have all the contingencies.
And they've done
Exactly.
it faster than anybody expected.
Mm-hmm.
Hats off. I know it's been tough for folks downtown, but just looking at the project itself,
Yeah.
man, they've moved that thing along.
Those guys are super
fast.
smart. I got to meet 2 of the engineers who were at the lead of the project at the Brookstown meeting.
Cool.
It was super cool. And one of the coolest things was that, like, I recently started dating a guy who's working for engineers, and I learned all sorts of stuff before I ever met these guys. And then when I met them, I was just like, man, I kind of understand how you think right now. This is awesome that this connection has happened, because now I can ask you some questions that I know are burning in everybody's minds. And the first one was like, hey, have you guys ever done a project like this before? And they were like, in terms of money, we've definitely done projects that cost a whole bunch more money,
Right.
but we've never done a project in the history of North Carolina that has ever had this kind of an impact. And they tried their best as engineers, and you got to think, that's not their job. Like, their job is, I'm going to figure out the coolest, fastest way to build this thing and reduce this impact, and they have done it. Like,
Yeah.
they have done their jobs. But there was sort of this, like, courtesy liaison that they created, and I think that people thought that was going to give a little bit more support to the businesses and the residents of downtown that it ended up being. It ended up, the liaison did her job. She went to the mayor's office. She put together this resource packet. She gave it to the businesses. Most of the businesses she gave them to is like, she dropped them off, spoke to some of the people. Who knows what was going on in their lives. At the time, I had just had a baby. So I was like, I'm looking through this packet, but I don't understand what this packet has to do with anything. And now that we're on the fallout, I look through it and I'm like, okay, I get it. And
They told us.
well, they told us, but they gave us resources we could reach out to in the case of necessity. So that means it would have to get to a place of necessity.
Right.
And then second off, we did reach out and we did our homework and we went through everything and we followed those leads, and they didn't lead us anywhere that we could actually get support that we needed. And that's when that conversation escalated to like, hey, we don't know what we need, but we need to communicate with people. Can people start talking to us about what's going on? And that became really the point of like emotional contention, and rightfully so, was kind of like, man, we all kind of know how these small businesses work, and we know how much pressure that everybody's on. That's why we live in these kind of little bubbles, like myself. And I check in on my neighbors because they're right there, and I check in on them on Facebook and stuff. But nobody from the city had really been checking in on these people. And they, you know, may have tried in certain ways or may have seen ways they needed to, but I just think that everyone's been at a loss for how to have made this better. And now we're at this point where we need to get better, and we need to get better soon. They're trying to determine whether or not, first they're trying to make a determination of whether or not the impact has had an impact on downtown, which I think is very interesting. And they're going to base this off of the sales tax revenue that will be reported, but I was told that they won't know what that is until July, and then that won't be released and really be looked through until somewhere around September. And I was just like, that's just too late.
Yeah, we need to be on it faster than that.
And so what can we
Anecdotally,
do?
We know that things are off.
Yeah, we
I mean,
do.
We haven't talked to many downtown businesses that are going, you know what, my numbers are up from this time a year ago.
Yeah, and the ones who I have spoken to around that, there's also just so many factors in play. Like, we can't get into all the nuances of how everyone started their business and what funding is behind it or who knows who or whatever. Like, that stuff, those details will drive people crazy. But what we do know is people are upset and people are feeling the hurt. And there are some people who are feeling the hurt, and this isn't the first time they felt it. And that's kind of where I've felt relieved to be able to be in the position that I'm in now to help people, because I've gone through what I'd like to call this little shaman's death that's happening right now several times downtown already. And I am glad to have the emotional reserves of going through it a few times to not freak out, but it doesn't mean it doesn't affect people. Right. And some of these people are at the age where they've been doing this for so long. I wouldn't blame them if they wanted to pack up and move on and live a different part of their life and not dedicate their life to Winston-Salem downtown arts culture anymore. Like, those people deserve to have that. But it's just sad to think that that might happen because of what's going on now, and that we can't give them the resources and the hope to continue to be here.
Well, we don't want to lose that cultural legacy either. We need them here.
Yes.
They are part of what made downtown so special.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I moved here in '88, and downtown dried up at 501. And I look at where we are now and think, we've got such a vibrant community down there. You know, it has taken us a while. And then you're right, that growth happened within a 5 to 10 year window.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been remarkable what we've been able to accomplish in that time frame. But if we're not continuing to support these businesses, yeah, bye-bye. We got to get down there. We've got to be a part of this.
Exactly. And then I don't think we've really thought through what it's like to hear things like, well, you know, if these people move out, there's this supply and demand kind of problem, right? Where it's not really a problem. It's great for the people who own buildings because they'll be able to put somebody else in the building. Well, the question then for me is, who are the people going in the buildings? I don't have any opinion about who they are, except they're going to be new businesses too. Even if they're, say, Mass General Store is not a new business, right? But it's a new business. Like, if you've opened any time in the last 5 years, you're a new business.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't crossed over to the other side. And we know that most new businesses fail within the first 3 years. So, like, what kind of turnover are we going to be looking at? And how's that going to affect the image of downtown? And how can we stabilize this is my question. Like, what do we need to do to draw the resources to downtown to capture the imagination and the hearts of those who love this place, and to convince them, like, this doesn't need to be forever, but right now is when we need people to provide relief, and just go provide relief by purchasing the things you can purchase from whoever you want to still be there.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the things, like Ray said earlier, and you agreed with, things are going to get better.
They are going to get better.
But it's
Between
not
now
helping.
and then.
That's not helping the people who are struggling right now, and
Yeah.
that's where we've got to come. We got to come together and be a community,
Exactly.
a real community, not just part of the community.
The
but
kind of
be
community that showed up at Skippy's Hot Dogs
Amen.
with a line around the corner, people paying $100 for a hot dog because they knew what it was going to accomplish.
Amen to that.
That's the kind of heart that we know is already here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we need to see a whole bunch of people doing that at a whole bunch of places downtown.
Well, even
Yeah.
more so than
And
just
not
the
just
people.
one weekend.
And not just one weekend. And we especially need them to do this sooner than later, because we just had these crazy rains the past weekend.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't imagine how other people are feeling it right now with the amount of local traffic that some of these businesses are hyper dependent on, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the rains kept a bunch of people inside. They're like, no, I'm not getting out and all that.
Well, I mean, they shouldn't have. It was so dangerous.
Yeah, it was. It was crazy.
I mean, I was supposed to be in the block party,
Mhm.
but I was an outdoor vendor, and that got canceled. That part got canceled. So it was looking forward to being with a bunch of the people there. And did I come out? No, because I mean, we went and did our morning thing, and then it was torrential, and you shouldn't be out in that.
Yeah, no, you definitely shouldn't be. We need to be safe amongst all things. And that's sort of where we are, right? Like, there's these weird acts of God kind of infiltrating the scenario.
Because the thing is you're not helping anybody if you're not here.
Exactly.
So it's you can't put your help forth if you've done something
Dangerous.
to not be here. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So one of the things that I'm really like asking of people right now is there's so many people in our community, and there's so many types of people, and they have the thing that they do that they're so good at. Like, you're the guy who records this show.
Yeah.
That's the thing you do.
He's
you have
good at
people
it.
on, you're good at it, right? And we're not asking you to do anything you're not good at. And so we kind of need the other people who are listening to this to think, what am I good at? And can I help with the thing that I'm good at? And how can I do it? And reach out. And like, call me on my cell phone. Can I give people my cell phone?
If you want to do it again, then go
I
ahead.
can't. I will tell you, people are absolutely terrified to contact me. So it's amazing if anybody actually does. So it's 336.
I watched the video 3 times going back just to make sure. that I had it right before I texted you.
Well, that's just great. I think that's beautiful. So it's 336-769-6510. And you can get in contact with me this way. And if you want to lend your energy to this, there will be people who I might get you into communication with who can take your energy somewhere else and make it a resource, or we might need you for something else. Come join the army.
So you're going to be the nexus.
Yeah, we have been the nexus for a lot of this coming forward. That's why I said it was just so beautiful to go sing the Four Directions song in Lakota and call in the directions around prosperity to downtown Winston-Salem, and for Tim here to have been the MC, and for us to now be here talking about exactly what I was praying for at the ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take individuals to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And I was one of the inaugural Winston-Salem Ambassador board members.
Oh, great. Tell us about them.
Well, it's exactly what you're doing. You could be an ambassador.
I mean, maybe I am one.
You are. Well, you are one. You don't have to be on the board to be.
Right. People come to our store first sometimes when they get here to Winston. You have the bus stop right there. So we have people come right down from the bus stop and check in with us. And we're the kind of store that people who are travelers want to check in with. And then we have people, we are often a stop through of people who have recently got out of incarceration, who believe in the medicine path, who come in and they're like, hey, can you light some sage for me? And we're like, sure thing, brother. Here you go. Or whatever. So we're this place where people just, all walks of life, come to check in on us, and we are there for them to be. And so at this point, we're just trying to, mobilize within the Nexus. We want to help, and I don't know everything, for gosh sakes, but I will send someone along who can help. I will try. Right?
Exactly.
Well, that's what a network is. That's what a community is. You've got to. If everyone did the same thing, then that would be completely
just
boring.
Talking about economics right here.
Yeah. So,
but when people are to your point, when they're bringing their own gifts to the table, say, all right, I want to help, and this is what I do. All right, then we plug that in. Oh, and look, now we've got connections with this person whose gifts match up to yours. And
I've had so many artists reach out to me because, in my space, I also have a gallery where I host my artwork, and my artwork's been all around Winston-Salem, North Carolina at this point. In fact, they wrote a newspaper article about me last December for my art, which was super cool. It was in the Winston-Salem Journal.
Nice.
So we have that. And so I've had all these artists reach out to me like, hey, I've got some artwork I'd like to donate. And I'm just thinking to myself, no, we don't need to donate. We need to do a downtown artist auction or something. And then percentages of the proceed go to some sort of marketing thing, right? Where it's just hey, come down, auction your artwork. We'll do the social media of that. We'll collect all that up, and then we will make sure something good happens with it. And so I'm like, I'll do that, sure. But I need the people to show up to make it happen. That needs to be a cool event.
Yeah, and then where's the event? Who's going to help with that?
Exactly.
Who's going to be the MC for that? Are there going to be other artists or music that get involved with that? And
I'm not an event planner, and so that's one of the things I recently was talking to Jason Thiel about. He's the guy who heads up the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, and he was just like, "Yeah, that'd be great, but how are we gonna plan that and everything?" And I was just like, "Well, I don't know, but we can begin now."
yeah, but you don't have to have the answers. You just have to have the will.
Yeah.
To be able to do it.
And the ability to go ask and then find out who your partners are, and then that starts to define the event.
And to be cooperative. I think that's such an interesting slant that's come across to the conversations online about what's going on downtown, is that so many people have kind of reached out and been like, hey, kind of be more careful about how you're wording things, because we don't want this to become a hyper sensationalized thing, and we don't the people who aren't hurting, we don't want their businesses to get hurt by people talking about it. And I was just kind of like, whoa, is this some southern thing right now that I've never picked up on? And maybe this is my autism showing or something, but I don't get that. I'm just why don't we just talk about what's really happening, and we will find the positive message in all of that. There's nothing wrong with saying this is really how people are feeling. There are really people crying. There are really people worried that they're going to lose everything. Like, those are real people. I care about them and I want to help out. And so let's change that then, instead of thinking that people are just trying to be drama queens and what do you get out of that? What do you think people are really getting out of embarrassing themselves maybe by talking publicly about things that are usually hush-hush? They're not getting anything out of it. They're not looking for sympathy, and they're not looking to get sympathy with money. If they're that proud, you're not pulling that tactic. And that's sort of where things get weird online, right? As I'm kind of like, whoa, there's like some interesting disconnect here. At the end of the day, I know these people. I want them to do well. Somehow we'll figure out how to do it, and we're already doing it. We can't believe it. It's been less than a week. We've had action.
It's healthier when people just are honest and say, all right, this is what I'm really feeling. This is what I'm really going through. Mm-hmm. And by keeping all of those things bottled up, we create scenarios that become much worse down the road.
I agree. And that's sort of what's already happened to some of the people who've been working downtown and are feeling the most stress. Imagine like being somebody who's been in business for less than 5 years. There have been plenty of people who I've talked about who would fit into this category, who have had marital struggles or death in the family, or maybe they have health related issues and they're dealing with all that stuff and they're still trying to pay their bills. They're not being bad people by trying to ask for assistance because they're at a place at a crossroads they've never been at before, they could never perceive. And we know that they're not to blame because we know that the city's not to blame for not knowing how to perceive everything and be able to calculate how things are going to show up, right? So it weirds me out that people just shuffle that blame over onto the people who are hurting. And I'm just kind of like, wow, so insensitive. Are we really this utilitarian? And that's not the spirit of Winston to me.
It's not.
I don't know what that is, but it's just not cool.
Well, and to know that you're not alone. To be able to say, you know what, here's my struggle. And to have other people in your community to step up and say, you know, I've experienced that exact same thing. Oh, suddenly I'm not doing this all by myself now. Mm-hmm. Now I'm part of the, not just part of the community, but part of a group inside of that.
Exactly. You find your
value
place.
in that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, folks that are hurting should speak out and say, all right, you know, honestly, I could use some help. Because I do believe that we are built to be in community.
Yeah.
And that we're supposed to be working with each other and not against each other. So when you see your neighbor suffering, all right, how can I help with that?
Exactly.
What can I do to alleviate that?
Mm-hmm.
I can't necessarily fix everything, but I can at least come alongside. And then if a whole bunch of people come alongside, oh, now we've got a movement.
Yeah, and you know that you don't want your neighbor to suffer. I mean, that's just like a pretty darned classic moral that I think most people in this area were raised with in one way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Well, that, and no one's asking you individually to fix anything.
No.
They're asking you to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my asking is to stop being part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
With the negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop telling the businesses they're being negative when you're the one being negative.
Right. We're the ones that are struggling to pay our bills, and you're sitting over there all nice and cozy. So how do you think you can tell me that?
Yeah, and who knows when you won't be nice and cozy. That's also part of this conversation going forward. Is just like, you know, when communities have something big like this happen, it ripples out in ways that are just beyond our perception. We'll never really know how it affects everybody until after it's happened, just kind of like the shutdown, right? And so when you lose something like this culturally, and that's really what we're talking about is a cultural loss, and we've been experiencing some cultural losses in various different ways downtown recently, like the mural behind, you know.
To see that go, yeah.
Right, and so that's what the big thing was. It felt like a cultural loss, and so here's these mirrors of this experience happening for people downtown. So no wonder it's as impactful as it is, and we don't want to have that loss, and we don't want to have that grief as a community, and we can prevent it. And definitely, if you've never been through an experience of grief or loss, I think that's part of the insensitivity is people can't perceive yet, like, I might be there one day and I might need you to lean on, you know? So some of it's humbling yourself to just like be like, wow, okay, it's everybody struggles. There's nobody who's high man on the totem pole. I certainly wouldn't want to be a city official right now. I wouldn't want to deal with the stress of wondering like what I could be doing and knowing there are whispers in the city and waiting to hear.
Well, you're never going to please everyone.
Yes, for sure.
But how can we do the most with the highest good for all intended?
Yeah, like that is the prayer. And that's the big question is how can we? And I think from where I'm coming from, what I see right now, the lens that I see it through, is that we need the businesses to have access to some sort of piece of paper that means something, right? So some sort of piece of paper that comes from somewhere within the city or somewhere within the Department of Transportation that says like, hey, this thing happened. Sort of like a diagnosis. I am diagnosing you with the shutdown.
Yeah, you have been shut down.
And now you should go talk to your financial institutions about what that means. And what happens is when there is something like that, it can open up a conversation with the lending institutions of the businesses that people are, part of. And then they're able to ask for things like, reduction of maybe overdraft fees because their cash flow got messed up and now they're getting like $200 of overdraft fees in a month. And that's squelching their business. Or a reduction, or they can negotiate with this for like, hey, are my fees be reduced on my credit card for this amount of time? Or can I change the way that I'm paying those credit cards? It gives the power to the businesses in order for the businesses to negotiate with their financial institution. It gives them power back. And so there's something that needs to happen, just like how Hickory said, hey, we're in a state of crisis right now. We've got 4 roads closed down because of the rain. They just issued that state of concern and emergency. We kind of need something like that for the businesses to take personal responsibility for what that could do for them and go ahead and start having harder conversations and negotiating the ways that their businesses can financially stay afloat. While we also need more of this media to come together on this higher level of what the business of Winston is and what the city of Winston is. And so whatever that looks like, that whole network of communication coming together over the cause of bringing resources into Winston-Salem, even if that's drawing from outside of the city.
Right. Well, I like your idea, basically a disaster declaration.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that for hurricanes and tornadoes and all sorts of natural events. This is not, I was going to say it's an unnatural event, but okay, in a sense
it's a natural progression, though.
Yes, it's
They've
something that
never
needed to
done
happen.
anything this big in the history of North Carolina, and here we are in it.
And if businesses could be working with their banks, the credit unions, to say, all right, help me work through this, because it is a recognized phenomenon.
Yeah.
That would be phenomenal. And we've got connections to the banking world in this community.
Exactly. BB&T is our banking institution, and as soon as I went to have the meeting with them, I mentioned, I was like, we're facing this hardship, and they were like, oh yeah, we know. I mean, we are too. And I was just like, wow, what a great recognition of like, you guys are aware that this is affecting you because you're literally downtown. And then our banker was like, yeah, if you could get that piece of paperwork, because I mentioned it, because I've just been kind of like, like mixing this idea up, trying to figure out like how to present this, how to say this the right way so that it gets heard. And, so when I go have my meeting with the mayor on Thursday, I don't sound like an idiot or I'm saying something that's not appropriate. Like I want to go and have a conversation that's like, on behalf of all of the people like me, this would really help out, right? And so as I was kicking the idea around, it became more and more clear to me with that conversation with her that is what happens when something big like a hurricane rips up your road. And then the people who want to work through their business problems, who want to take responsibility, and they go to a bank and say, here's proof I'm trying to work with you, right? They can keep their businesses alive like that. Most financial institutions, especially local ones, they want to work with people. They want to make it happen. We don't want to not pay the bills.
Let's take it one step further and just challenge the financial institutions here in the Winston area. Do that because it's the right thing to do for the businesses without the declaration.
That is what
Just
I would hope
step
to.
up. You already recognize what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a bunch of whiny folks going, well, I just want somebody to take care of my problems and make them go away.
Yeah, no.
No, we are hurting. because of this situation. Yes, it's the right thing to happen for the community. Yes, we're going to be thrilled when Salem Parkway is official, and we've got
For sure.
we're not going to have trucks that run into bridges downtown and close roads because of it. We're going to have a great road through town.
Yeah, for sure.
But all right, if they would just step up because they know it's the right thing to do without
That
having
would
to
be
have
my
that paper.
hope with everybody involved in this situation. Like, if you are somebody who has any degree of power within your life and you have some power to do something about the situation, I would
Time to
hope
step up.
that you would step up just because it's the right thing to do, because that's what you do when you live in this city. Like, that would be a great thing to see, like, come out of this, be like, the Winston-Salem, the city of the people who step up and do what's right for their neighbor. Like, that would make me happy.
Yeah. Well, that would be showing the world something really special.
I think so.
This just came in.
Uh-oh.
Due to unforeseen circumstances, Hutch and Harris Dining Room will be closed for the remainder of the month. Sidebar will open at 5 p.m. tonight. Thank you for all our loyal customers for your support. Look forward to serving you again soon. Staff and management of Hutch and Harris.
Did they get flooded out with all the rain, or is it just that slow?
I think it's that slow.
Wow.
But good for them to implement strategies that are going to keep them alive so that they can have that happen again, you know, like be able to open up to a more full service. I mean, that's what we're going to start seeing more and more, is people being creative around how they're dealing with whatever crunch that they're under, for whatever that crunch is, whether it's even personal. Like, you know, I've talked to a lot of people recently who I've tried to, like, get in a conversation with, who've just experienced loss within their family. I mean, I'm thinking about 10 people on my heart who just got a diagnosis of cancer or are in for open heart surgery. And these are these people's, like, that's the most important thing in their life right now. And downtown is making itself the most important thing for their life right now. And it's sort of like, you don't really know what people are sacrificing to keep these places open, and like that kind of time with your family is something you can't get back. You know, it's precious. So I think we just need to honor that, you know, people are sacrificing and trying to make it continue on. You know, honor to you guys.
Yeah.
Morale, we see you.
Yeah. So, Antonina, give us the information on Kindred Spirits again. It's
Sure thing. So we're located at 537A North Trade Street in the Arts District, and we've been in business for 25 years this year. Our website is Kindred Spirits, plural, so KINDREDSPIRITS.WS. KindredSpirits.WS, Winston-Salem. And so you can get us online, you can book appointments through our online portal, and you can also shop on our online web store. So if you know people who like rocks and incense and they don't live in Winston-Salem, you can send that shop out to anybody you know, and every single dollar makes a difference. Like, I posted on my graduating class of my herbal school in Asheville this past weekend, and somebody went ahead and made a purchase from South Carolina, and that money got us through. Like, that was my employee's paycheck, right? So, like, thank you for doing that. And so if people could do that, just share that piece of the puzzle, we will be able to keep caring for our employees, and we will then, of course, pass along the extra energy all around the place, like we're doing right now, even when we don't have all the extra energy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for letting us be part of your community journey and call of action, I guess.
Thank you.
And let us know how we can help you whenever, you know, that help is needed.
Sure thing. And if
Keep us
you...
up to date. We'd love to know what's going on.
So I just want to say, if you want to keep up to date with me, and I have, and share in the resources, and you want to go through Nexus of Antonina, please friend me on Facebook. My name is Antonina, and my last name is Whaples. I already gave you my phone number and the website for my store. So those are all ways you can get in contact with me to keep going forward on this community front. All right? And if you're a horrible person and you harass me, I will take you to court and get a restraining order, and I've done it before. Just a little word of caution.
Let's keep all the creepers away.
Why did she look at me when she said that?
I did not look at him.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, thank you to Antonina Whaples for just being here and being awesome. And I knew we were going to have good conversations. And
great conversation.
Just stay tuned to this podcast and to her stuff. She gave you all the information. Watch for the things that are going on, because there are things that you can do to help you don't have, it doesn't take a lot. It just takes thought and initiative. That's all we need.
Yeah. Well, the old Helen Keller quote that many hands make light work.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we all do this together, it doesn't take everybody making a Herculean effort.
Right. Stop blaming other people for stuff. Stop blaming roads that have nothing to do with it for other stuff. And stop trying to wish it had done. Just get it done.
If you value this, show it.
Indeed. All right, so I'm going to speed through these food holidays because I knew we were going to have a long conversation with the guest, and we had the beginning was a long conversation about Uncle Buzzy's and Carrabba's. So,
yeah.
Food holidays today. 6/10 is National Black Cow Day. Do you know what that is?
No. I know they're black cows.
Yeah, it's a root beer float.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The song Black Cow from on the Asia album from Steely Dan is about a root beer float.
Well, see, I have to go back and listen to that with whole new ears then.
Yes. I mean, it's actually not about that, but that's the Black Cow that they're talking about.
Okay.
National Iced Tea Day.
I can get behind an iced tea day. It's like National Southern Day.
It almost, yeah. Y'all.
Yeah.
National Herbs and Spices Day.
Well, without that, I mean, food would really be pretty
bland. Yeah.
So there's a food holiday that makes sense.
It's really
sort of
National Non-Bland Food Day.
Yeah, it's go season your food and eat day. Regardless, even Happy can get behind National Herbs and Seasoning Day.
Yes, because she uses those a lot.
She does.
The 11th is National German Chocolate Day.
Oh, it used to be my favorite kind of ice cream from Baskin-Robbins.
It's actually German's chocolate and German's chocolate cake. The man who developed the chocolate was Samuel German. Has nothing to do with German itself. Germany itself. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's German's chocolate cake.
Thank you for correcting me.
National Cotton Candy Day.
Yeah, it just evaporated.
Corn on the Cob Day.
I'm good with corn on a cob as long as you give me a toothpick or some floss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but does it need a day? Is that opposed to
it was a staple, but it was a staple to me growing up.
Sure, but does it need a day?
Well,
I love cotton candy too. I don't think it needs a day.
I'm not all that fond of cotton candy because it's gone. It's like I know I had something in my mouth.
Yeah, I love the taste of it though. It's also Royal Hot Dog Day. What does that mean? You ask?
I'm gonna ask. Yeah. So, what does it mean?
It was in 1939, I think it was. FDR served King George VI and Queen Elizabeth hot dogs. First time they had ever had any.
Oh, well.
Look at that.
All right. So, British royalty got to try the American standard.
This wiener and a bun.
Oh, you said a wiener. That's amusing. Okay.
We have a wiener.
I'm not a big hot dog guy, though.
I do like hot dogs, but I can only handle them in small amounts. Yeah.
I really want it to be all beef. And if I really have a choice, my hot dog is made with bratwurst.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Or knockwurst.
I'm good with that.
Or Barenwurst.
Okay, I don't know that last one.
Yeah, it's just different types of meat like veal and lamb and stuff like that, but it's all good.
Yeah.
The 12th is National Peanut Butter Cookie Day. I'm for it. It's National Jerky Day. I
don't need that day.
It's International Falafel Day.
Ooh, you know what that makes me think of?
Yamas! Oh, speaking of Yamas. I want to thank Yamas for their sponsorship of my summer of burgers. They donated, they sponsored $50 towards gas.
Awesome.
So whenever I'm driving from place to place, that gets me there.
There you go. That helps. Every
Yes.
little bit helps. I'm having a summer of something. I need
I
sponsorship
think you're
too.
having a summer of moving.
Unfortunately, yes.
But yes, thank you to Jason Cobb and the folks over at Yamas for believing in what I do and looking out for me. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Oh, and Jason, by the way, thank you very much for introducing me to the Yamas cookies. They are more chocolate than dough. They are they're really good.
So
that's the way I like it.
We just need to say it one more time.
Yamas!
On the 13th, it's Kitchen Klutzes of America Day.
How did they know about my day? I wasn't announcing that.
It's not your birthday, is it?
No, that was last month.
Okay, yeah. National Weed Your Garden Day.
Okay.
Well, you don't want weeds in your garden unless...
I don't.
Happy probably would find a way of eating them.
Some weeds, dandelions, for example, are
Yeah.
considered weeds and food.
Yeah, I do not like dandelion greens, though. I've tried
I'm
them.
not that fond of it.
Yeah. We had a guest on the Les Desirables one time about 2 years ago that was a forager who would go out and get stuff from your yard and cook stuff up. And I'm like, I don't know. I've seen the stuff that grows in my yard. I don't necessarily want that.
Well, our friend Dennis Wiggins that was here, he's that way with mushrooms. Send him out into the woods. He will find you mushrooms that you can eat. And he will tell you, don't do that yourself because you'll likely end up with the wrong mushrooms.
And then probably if you ask nicely, he'll bring you some mushrooms that you wouldn't remember the things for the next 2 or 3 days either.
Exactly.
The 14th is National Strawberry Shortcake Day. I'm
good
okay with that.
Yeah. With
And
whipped cream.
I'm certainly good with National Bourbon Day.
Oh. Now, let's not do those simultaneously. I don't
Why?
really want my strawberry shortcake with my bourbon.
Why?
I want those separate.
No. You're missing the point here. Strawberry shortcake, and you take the bourbon and you kind of warm it up, get it reduced a little bit, get some of the alcohol sugars boiling, pour over top the strawberry shortcake. Bourbon syrup.
I had not even considered. You've done that before, haven't you?
I have not, but I'm going to.
You're going to have to tell me.
Yeah, I
That
will.
sounds good.
I will.
See, now there's a reason why we have food holidays. It sparks creativity.
This is true. I got to get my son on it. You know,
Yes.
he would do that. But although he's not old enough to drink it, he could eat it once the
He could
alcohol's
cook with
burned
it,
up.
yeah.
Absolutely. The 15th is National Lobster Day. It
Ew.
used to be September. You don't like lobster. It used to be September 25th, but okay, I'm sorry. June 15th is still widely celebrated, but they have officially moved it in Maine to September 25th because that's when the Maine senators wanted it.
Oh, well,
It's
okay.
and the 15th is also Potato with an E Day.
Potato Day?
That's the day in 1992 that Dan Quayle told the spelling bee person that they spelled potato wrong. They left the E off of it.
Yes. There is a shining example of the American education system at work.
Yes. The 16th, you're one, I'm one. Happy Father's Day early to
Yes.
both of us.
Thank you. I had forgotten that that's coming up. Yeah.
So if you are so inclined, cook your father his favorite meal. Trey knows what mine is. National Turkey Lovers Day. That's not turkey. National Fudge Day.
Ooh,
I'm okay with that.
I love the fudge.
Yeah, because it's just wet chocolate. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
It's chocolate.
Yeah.
It's dense chocolate.
It's a very cocoa-heavy chocolate. And it's Fresh Veggies Day. So, again, happy. It's happy. Yay.
Hey, we could combine the fresh veggies and the fudge. No, that doesn't work.
Please.
I can
don't-
see bourbon and strawberries, but
Yeah,
not fudge and
Yeah,
broccoli.
please don't ever say that again. All right, that's your food holidays and history for this week. Thanks to James Ealer at foodreference.com
James.
for making us chuckle and roll our eyes. The Man Who Went to Town podcast is part of the Les Desirables Podcast Network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Les Desirables, the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, and Apartment 5B. Speaking of Apartment 5B, tomorrow, in recording for Apartment 5B, the three residents of Apartment 5B, myself, Jeff Evans, and Rory, will be testing and comparing three different food delivery services in this town.
Oh.
What DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, to rate on which, because they're going to be not from the same place, but equidistant places, as
Yeah.
close as we can get, best kind of service, who gets here fastest, the food's hottest, all that stuff. So we're going to do a little collaboration. It happens that I'm producer of that show, so it helps.
Yeah.
You can find all those podcasts and the latest episodes on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. You'll also find social media links for all of them there as well. We greatly appreciate if you visit our sponsors, Delicio's Italian Restaurant. And remember, Delicio's is in the Brookstown area. That is probably going to be feeling some pinch. So we need to get people to them.
It is worth the time to get there.
It certainly is. 301 Brookstown Avenue. It is the go-to Italian restaurant in town. As much as we've talked about Carrabba's today, this is still our favorite Italian from our favorite Italian. They are fully ABC compliant and are rocking some beverage. They are open 4 to 9 Monday through Thursday, 4 to 10 Friday and Saturday. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook. Again, 301 Brookstown Avenue. Washington Perk and Provision Company, located 301 West 4th Street. You will find a little bit of everything at the Perk. Wolfie's Custard, Larry's Beans Coffee, Papa Doc's Bionic Tonic, fresh fruit, veggies, eggs, milk, cheese, condiments, toiletries, and more. Get you a sandwich while you're there.
Sounds like it's almost a grocery store.
But not quite a grocery store.
Not a convenience store either, though.
But it's much better than a convenience store.
Much.
Again, 301 West 4th Street, downtown Winston-Salem. Facebook, they're Washington Perk, or on Instagram, it's Washington Perk _DTWS. The Humblebee Shop, another lovely owned local support them. Support. And of course, Washington Perk too.
Yes.
But the Humblebee Shop is, the West End over there. Some people don't always know where to go. It's 1003 Brookstown Avenue, right there in West End, downtown.
I just noticed something.
What?
Delicio's is 301.
Perk is 301.
301.
This is 1003.
Yeah. There's a lot of ones, O's, and threes in our sponsors. I'm wondering if that's specific or just coincidental.
I don't know. If we were into numerology, that would probably... It says thing on 1003 Brookstown Avenue in the West End. You need to go to Instagram right now and look up the Humblebee Shop. You will not be disappointed. Brittany is rocking the stuff over there. It's regular, gluten-free, vegan. Your baked goods are there and ready to go. So the Humblebee Shop wants to challenge your perception of Scratch Made and leave you with an experience you couldn't possibly forget. For more information, follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit thehumblebeshop.co.
SHOPPE.co.
Keep an eye on the blog and this podcast to find out more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any of that food news or happenings, send us an email, tim@themanwhoatethetown.com, or on the Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter instant messages. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Man Who Number 8 the Town. On Instagram, we are Man Who Ate the Town. My name is Tim.
My name's Ray.
And we're closing the recipe box. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Support your local folk.
Yes.
Bon appetit.
The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the Man Who Ate the Town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.